Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Yes, it is Monday, it is 6:30pm and welcome to the Rangers Journal. Rangers are handing out broken hearts on Valentine's weekend and tissue sales are through the roof in Gorgie after yesterday's game. So of course yesterday at Ibrox the Jambles turned up full of hope and left heartbroken, outplayed, outclassed and out of luck. Rangers sliced right through them and proved there's only one team with real heart in this league fight. Now there'll be plenty of twists and turns in this title race, but that was a great result yesterday, so we're going to be picking through every moment of that late Valentine's massacre in maroon. So settle in as we relive a weekend where the only thing maroon was the faces in the away end. I think I've said maroon about 5 times there, but there we go. So to join us tonight to discuss the fabulous 4-2 victory over Hearts, first of all it's Scott. How you doing, Scott? You snatched Roman's top off his back last night there, eh? I can see it right behind you.
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm loving that you are living out your late night DJ dreams with your intros into the shows. I'm enjoying these. This was I took advantage of the free personalisation from the multiple emails that you get for Rangers on a daily basis. So I'm delighted to be here, and it's always nice to be here on a Monday when we've had a positive result. But thank you.
No, always good to see you, Scott. Always good to see you. Next, it's Ryan. Ryan, you were at the game yesterday. Have you still got your voice?
Yes, I'm ready to go again. I wish we could play every day of the week when we play like that. That was absolutely fantastic yesterday.
It was absolutely brilliant, and of course we'll break that all down very shortly. So good to have you on, Ryan. And last but not least, Richard. How you doing after that fantastic win?
I'm very well, mate. Thanks for a cheeky wee day off over here. It's just bank holiday, so made the most of celebrating last night after that victory. So, but I'm doing well, mate. Yourself?
Do you know what? I'm not too bad. Got a tiny bit of man flu, but I feel 100% today after that result yesterday. So it's amazing.
Is that why you're on the Guinness?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's got the healing properties, you see, that's it. But yeah, no, definitely. Don't forget, guys, this pod is proudly sponsored by Bluebells, the good guys over at Bluebells Bar in Puerto del Carmen in glorious Lanzarote. So when you're over in the sunny Spanish Canary Islands, you'll find a very warm welcome at the only Rangers bar in Puerto del Carmen. Family friendly, eat, drink, chill, or party, or do all of the above. And yes, they do show every single Rangers game live, so there's nothing better than watching the Bears in the scorching heat. So when you're in Lanzarote, do pop in and say hi. And don't forget, the Rangers Journal does have an Etsy store. So yes, if you head to Etsy, type in the Rangers Journal, all one word, you'll see what great merchandise we have there. And of course, like this Rangers Journal hoodie, which I'm wearing here, is available on there as well. So let's have a look. So of course, Rangers were playing in a title deciding match. Well, not quite a title decider, but it definitely will shape the outcome of the latter end of the season, I think, with a fantastic 4-2 win over Hearts. It was a test that was going to test our mettle for the title race, and here is the team that we set up with yesterday. So of course it was Jack Butland in goal. We had a back four of Sterling, Suter, Fernandez and Romans. We had a midfield, I guess you'd call it a midfield four here. So it was of course Raskin, Chukwani, Olsen and Moore, and we had two up top with Nadiri and Yusuf Chermiti. So Scott, you saw the team sheet come out yesterday about an hour and a bit before kick-off. Were you happy with the selection?
Yeah, I was. There wasn't really much that I could find fault with. I think it was probably the team that should have started against Motherwell, but that's neither here nor there. The only thing that I would maybe have criticism of, if I can even say that, is I wasn't keen on Mikey Moore playing wide left. I think he offers an awful lot more for the centre of the park. But obviously, as the game transition, we kind of learned that him and Olsen almost worked as 10s at some points in time during the game anyway. So it's trying to fit in that situation where he's wanting to play two up top. Obviously, you're looking to get the influence of Mikey Moore, but his influence is kind of taken away from it when he's playing wide. But no, I thought it was a good team lineup. I was quite happy with it. Happy to see Dujon Sterling back in there as well. And obviously Fernandez and Suter are strongest sort of two at the back. obviously really happy to see the two boys play up front together as well. It's something that we've really seen. We touched on the pod last Monday that a 4-4-2 is very much a dying art, and it's nice to see us sort of trying to bring that back, and it certainly worked for us for long periods of time yesterday.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I'll come to you next, Richard. Obviously, as Scott was saying there, it was good to see a more attacking lineup. We had 5 changes from the game at Motherwell. Were you happy with the back line with Sterling being there over Tav?
I was surprised by it. I genuinely thought Tav would have started ahead of Sterling, to be honest, but I wasn't disappointed with the change, to be honest. I'm a big fan of Sterling. He's clearly, he's got the legs over Tav these days. He's not quite got the same attacking threat that Tav does, but he certainly defensively he seems a lot more robust in that way. So, perfect. I was happy that Romans started. I wasn't sure if he would going to stick with him or bring Magoma back, but I'm happy he did because he looks like a real player, so I'm sure we're going to talk about. And Fernandez and Suter. I know Suter's got his faults and things, but I don't think anybody can deny that that's probably our best 2 centre-back pairing at the minute, and probably is likely going to be for the remainder of the run-in. Even if Cornelius comes back, I think he's still going to stick with these 2.
Yeah, do you know what? I do agree. I do like Cornelius, and I do think that he's going to have to try and earn his place back in that team. But that's what you want, isn't it? You want players to be fighting to start, and it's a nice headache to have when he comes back. And of course, to be fair, Cornelius has had a bit of a layoff, so it will be possibly a good few weeks before he's properly back in the team. It might be a couple of substitute appearances, I think. But it's definitely a good headache to have. Ryan, obviously looking at the attacking options there, we did go with 2 up top, Chermiti and Nadiri. And of course, you had Moore and Olsen kind of either side. Would you say that's our kind of strongest kind of attacking lineup, would you say?
Yeah, I think the proof's in the pudding. When you look at what the result was yesterday, it's great to see he's getting so many goals. If you told me before the end of the game that we'd walk away with 4 goals in our pocket, I'd have been over the moon with it. It probably wouldn't have been my starting 11. I'd probably have started Nadiri on his own up front with Moore and Ant-Man. I'm liking the kind of Ant-Man Romans combination. I think that's something that's working quite well. But I'm glad I didn't pick the team because obviously Chermiti's hat-trick and what have you, the rest of it. But apart from that, I was quite happy with the starting side of things. Felt it was a bit of a shame for Big Giga. I thought Giga's actually in the last few weeks has performed better. I think he's starting to show a wee bit kind of more solidity at the back there. He doesn't seem to be the kind of bomb scare that we were starting to, when he first came to us, we were experiencing with the kind of wayward passes and whatnot. I thought he's actually starting to kind of settle down. So it's a wee bit harsh on him. Sterling, I don't know where the ratings came from for a 5. I thought he had a half-decent game. I thought everyone had a good game yesterday. There's a few people out there saying that Raskin was poor and stuff like that. I thought Raskin done fine. It was obviously the mistake for the first goal without skipping too far ahead, but I thought everyone on their merits, and even the boys introduced on the bench, I thought everyone had a right good game and a part to play.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And yes, we'll come back to these stats that are on the screen in a little bit. We'll kind of go through the game and come back to them in a little bit because there's some interesting stats in there which kind of maybe shows where we are at and where kind of Hearts are at the minute. But I'll just take that off the screen. Just before we get into the game, Doug has just put up there Robert Duvall, of course, famous for his appearance in A Shot at Glory, among other films. He's been in loads of films, Godfather 2, Gone in 60 Seconds. The man is a Hollywood legend. And of course, he has passed away today or tonight, so RIP to Robert Duvall. Of course, there was a clip that circulated just a few days ago of him on, I think it was Sports Scene, which somebody managed to dig out. I think it was around about the time they were promoting A Shot of Glory when they were doing their filming at one of the cup finals. So RIP to Robert Duvall. Right, so the game, obviously a lot riding on this one. We hadn't beaten Hearts at all this season. So with some of the stats, so since the start of last season, no player has I've skipped ahead a little bit, apologies. So Rangers obviously lost both of our last 2 league meetings with Hearts. One, basically, we have to admit there was some bad officiating in there, but of course we did still lose the game at Ibrox. We all remember that one. And then we lost obviously the game at Tynecastle after a fairly okay start, and we hadn't actually lost 3 in a row since March 1986, which was under Jock Wallace, and that's the only season Rangers have ever lost 3 times to Hearts within a single league campaign. So there was a lot on the plate for Hearts yesterday, not just solidifying their start at the top and kind of retaining that little bit of a gap that they had, but also they had the chance to beat us and achieve another record. So obviously going into this as well, Hearts were the team to beat defensively. They've kept more clean sheets in the Scottish Premiership this year, in this calendar year, than any other side with 5, while only Motherwell have conceded fewer goals in the competition than Hearts this calendar year. So obviously a lot going into this game. There was a lot being said about Rangers' title credentials, Scott. So going into this one, it was make or break, especially after the result against Motherwell midweek. Some fans were looking for 6 points out of 6. We knew that wasn't going to happen, but a win was just a must yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely was. It was absolutely pivotal for us moving forward for the season. After dropping points on Wednesday against Motherwell, yesterday was basically make or break for us. If we had any intentions of staying in this race, then 3 points was the least that we could walk away with. And to do it in the manner that we did is always positive. I think we put in a real marker against a really good Hearts team. And like you say, you've touched on the defensive aspect of Hearts as well, and we kind of made them look a bit foolish at times. The way that we played, we looked dangerous every time we went forward. We maintained possession well for long periods, especially in the second half, and just kind of physically dominated the game. It was the first time in a long time that I could really remember a Rangers team genuinely putting a physical sort of markdown on the opponents and just kind of bullying them out of the game. They didn't really have much opportunity to get back into it. Obviously, when Derek McInnes changes formation at points in time, which only goes to aid Rangers in that, because we're fortunate we've got a manager who can react to these kind of things in game. Well, Danny Rowe hasn't changed anything at all. You can see that we're going to make the difference with that, especially when you've got guys like Claudio Braga having to track back as much as they were because they're playing 3 at the back. It only aided in Rangers' success yesterday. But yeah, I mean, it was an absolute must-win, and we've got the 3 points, and we need to build from here. Every game's a cup final now.
Every game is a cup final, and it is. I know people say it's a cliche, but it is so true. There's 11 games to go, and you just need to do everything you can to get over the line. So, with the way the game started, the atmosphere was absolutely electric at Ibrox, Ryan. It was really, it did feel like a bit of an Old Firm or a European night. And we did start okay. We did break. Skov Olsen, he tried to play in Chermiti, but it was a terrible ball. Chermiti was just in front of him. He should have moved it a little bit quicker. Then actually we saw, I want to say, a rare early booking, because, you don't generally get yellow cards early on in games. And saying that, as I've said that, just in recent weeks, cards seem to be getting dished out quite early on. Obviously, Kilmarnock had that red card, which it had to happen. It was a last man challenge. But of course, Aguiu took out Raskin. He got a yellow card early on. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, get a couple of yellow cards on them. They might not be diving in as much. We weren't exactly controlling the game, but we were pushing the ball up into their end of the park. But then, boom, Rangers do what Rangers do. Hearts open the scoring. Fernandez with the error. It's a limp pass to Raskin. I don't think Raskin's looking. There's not enough on it to get to him. And after a decent start, we are a goal behind, aren't we, Ryan?
Yeah, and I think, excuse me, this is something that creeps into Fernandez's game on occasion, where the passes are a little bit loose. Manny Fernandez wasn't brought to Rangers for his passing ability. He's been brought to Rangers for his size in both our box and the opposition's box as well. The nerves, I think, had a lot to do with it. I think with that, obviously, communication breakdown, the noise in the stadium, could they actually hear each other? But there was quite a few occasions where I thought Fernandez's passing did let him down, left a lot to be desired. We're obviously well aware of the attacking prowess that Romans has got to offer. Fernandez doesn't have it in his locker to be able to find that pass over the top to get him in. So it's something that they've got to work on with him for coaching. And I even said at half time I would even consider swapping Fernandez and Suter over, just so that we could have the ability to get Romans and Hearts with him. But it was just a lack of concentration. It just shows you when you're playing against decent teams. we have got away with a lot of that on occasion. Jack Balton has saved us quite often this season, and I've said that when we play better teams, we will get punished in situations like that, and it came to like yesterday. It was a good finish by the boy. Don't take anything away for Hearts. One chance, one goal. But we're Rangers, and sometimes we've got to do things the hard way.
Yeah, it's never easy for us, is it? Richard, so obviously you look at that goal that we concede, it's that, oh no, we've done it again. Does this say more about us or more about Hearts? Hearts were able to grab that opportunity after not exactly a poor start, but they were kind of trying to stop us playing because we were kind of up their end of the park a bit more. We were trying to really get in behind them, and we were struggling with that, but then they take the lead and you think, oh, does this say more about Hearts able to get a goal when the chips are down and pounce on a mistake? Or was it just more that it was just us doing a Rangers thing and just giving the ball away?
It's a mix of both, really, to be honest. I mean, you've got to admit, like, if there's an error at the back, without that error, probably Hearts wouldn't have had that chance. But I think clearly Hearts have taken advantage of the opportunity. I mean, it's an amazing strike by the lads. You can't take anything away. Butland had no chance, but it all led from the error. And before that, there wasn't. They had a bit of possession and things, but they weren't really threatening. So I don't think anything would have came from it if it wasn't for that error. Even after that, we scored fairly quickly afterwards, but going on from there, they weren't really threatening too much. They had a decent amount of possession, but actual shots on goal, they had a few, but none that I was actually thinking, I'm starting to worry about here. I was actually more concerned about us becoming a little bit slack in places and something similar happening again. When I say slack, I'm talking more about losing the ball in midfield, turnover, possession, because we were taking risks, we were playing high up. That's where I thought Hearts were going to get most of their opportunities on the break and countering any sort of errors that we made, which they did for that one.
Yeah, that was always the fear, and it was the fear of how we were going to react, because I remember the game at Tynecastle, we had a fairly decent start. We looked like we took the lead. Obviously, it was offside, but I remember what happened there. And then Hearts scored, and then we fell apart. And that was always the worry here, that are we going to fall apart? Is our mentality the same as what it was then? And clearly we have, I think we are on a different level now, not just with personnel in that attacking lineup now from the January transfer window, but I think our mentality is a little bit different, because Scott, of course, it looked like it was Nadiri at first. I was screaming Nadiri's name. There was a bit of a stramash in the box. There was a great ball in from Romans that started this all. It was a fantastic ball in. Chermiti had a brilliant effort from it. Saved, comes off the keeper, comes back out. Moore takes a shot, keeper saves it onto the crossbar, and then it looked like Nadiri just got himself in the right place to get the ball in the net. However, obviously, when I watched it back, first of all, it looked like that Steinwinder had smashed it off Nadiri and in. And then you look from the other angle and it's just Steinwinder just smashes it into the net as he's trying to clear it. It's one of them, it just looks like you've just took a punt into your own net, and we're level. And did that say a lot about our mentality yesterday? It was just about a minute or so after going behind from a bit of I don't want to say a fluke goal, but obviously it came from a mistake. But we're back level. Is that the real Rangers now? Are we seeing the Rangers that we're not going to give up, even if we've gone a goal down?
Well, you'd certainly like to think so. It was a good pass of play, like you say, a good ball in from Romans. 3 bites of the cherry before it goes in the back of the net. It was a bit of a nightmare start for that boy who came on for Hearts. I think he'd only been on the park for about 2 or 3 minutes and he's sliced that into the back of his own net. But it should be. I've been guilty of sort of going a little bit negative, being a little bit pessimistic with these things. I think just because of how the season's panned out at certain times, where as soon as we go a goal down, I automatically go, right, I don't know if we're going to be able to get back into this again. It's just a mentality thing for me. I mean, even just over the last few years at Rangers, it's kind of always been the same. You don't really fancy us to get back into it. But I think it shows an awful lot of character. And I think, obviously, with the atmosphere being as great as it was at Ibrox yesterday, that's a real driver for the players to actually get onside and sort of realise that this isn't just about the 11 guys that's on the park. It's about the thousands in the stands. It's about the thousands watching at home. It's about people like you and I who go into work the following day, and we need to deal with the consequences after it. But it should be a character thing for Rangers, and you'd like to think that with the importance of the next few games that are coming up, and the prize at the end of the season should be enough to drive them through. It should be enough to be able to give them the character that we need for them to, if it's a poor start, if there's a mistake, to actually be able to get back into the game. And we've done that not once but twice yesterday. And if there's anything that says that we don't have the character, then that kind of shows against that. And we need to be able to take that into the next coming games. And none of us want to start poorly, and we don't want to lose goals early doors, and we don't want to start the game badly. But unfortunately, this is the Rangers that we all know and love, and it does happen more often than what we'd like. If you can get rid of that problem, then that's a big tick off the box. But they showed the character yesterday that they can go ahead and get back into games, and I don't see why yesterday should be any different from the forthcoming games that are coming up, whether they're home or away, whether it's against the top of the league team or whether it's against Livingston. It doesn't matter. If you go a goal behind, you need to have the character and the minerals to get back into it, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, no, do agree, Scott. Do agree with everything that you're saying there. So after that, Ryan, you're hoping that you're going, right, we've got back into this. This has woken us up. We're going to now hopefully get a second and then kick on from there. We were certainly trying. Skov Olsen was kind of going into the box. He goes down after coming together with Chestakov. A dive was the verdict. Yellow card awarded to Skov Olsen for his troubles. I don't think there was much of a protest from him there. We've seen the replay back now from a couple of angles. Does a yellow card feel a little harsh there for him?
A wee bit. He certainly doesn't go down and start throwing his arms up in the air claiming for a penalty. So I don't believe it's a penalty, and I don't believe it's a yellow card either. I think it's just there's not enough contact to merit to be a foul. He does go down particularly easy, but I don't necessarily think the right course of action was to book him. You're walking a very thin line there when it comes to booking players. So every time there's a challenge in the box, if you're not going to give a penalty, you're going to book the guy for simulation. So I think that's something referees need to be quite careful with.
Yeah, I do agree, because there is a bit of a fine line sometimes, isn't there? Because you see players sometimes where somebody will come in on them and they get caught hard and they don't go down because they think, well, I've got a chance to put the ball in the net here, and they miss, or the keeper saves it, and you're thinking to yourself, well, if you go down there, it's a penalty. And I know it's that kind of thing where people think, well, you shouldn't go down if you're not going to go down, but if you're not going to go down, you're not going to get the penalty. It's not diving; it's a different thing, really, isn't it? But yeah, no, I totally agree. It's one of these areas where I think referees do have to kind of get that right, because there is contact. Is it enough to make him go down? I don't know, but there is contact. Has he initiated it? Possibly. It's one of those ones, but yeah. So Richard, you're seeing there. Obviously, we are persevering. We're looking to get a second, and then Hearts basically just go up the other end. Steinwinder, the guy that scored the OG, gets a ball in. Braga headers it in. It kind of just loops past Butland and in, and we are 2-1 down. We've got one of the best defensive records in the league. It didn't look like it yesterday, did it?
I'm not going to be too critical, to be honest, because things like that happen. They were marking well. It's not like he was in the box on his own. It's just one of those things that, I mean, how he managed to loop it in the way he did, with very little, because it was almost sort of behind him. So to head it in that direction, such a way to go in, like, you got to give the lad credit. To be fair, I don't think sort of challenge for it. You can't win them all, unfortunately. So I'm not going to be too critical about it. I think it's just one of those goals. It's gone in. Players done well, so I think we just need to move on. So I don't think could we have stopped the cross? I can't remember where Roman's position was for it off the top of my head. It's the only thing. If I was looking back at it, look from that point of view, but from between defensively. With Suter and stuff like that, no, I'm not going to be too critical about it. It's just one of those things. It was a decent goal, decent header, and it'd be different if we weren't in the game and we weren't playing well and Hearts were on top of us, but that wasn't the case. they managed to get a goal. I think we just need to dust ourselves off, move on, which we did.
I guess that's the thing, you know, it is football, goals are going to be scored. There's not always a point of failure. And a team like Hearts, they are at the top of the league for a reason. They've been at the top pretty much since, September time. They've been up there, and yeah, nobody's really been clawing away at their points until now. So, yeah, you know, they've had 2 chances there. We'll have a look at the XG shortly because it's absolutely incredible. Not everybody's into XG and all that, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of where Hearts were, and they managed to grab 2 goals really out of nothing. They were really struggling for chance creation. So 2-1 up. Again, we've got to kind of reset. We've got to go, right, we need to win this game or we fall further behind. And of course, we have then the man that Michael Stewart's favourite man, Scott, Chermiti, Yusuf Chermiti. He kind of cuts in, gets a shot away, cannons off a defender, which, you know, we've seen that a few times from Chermiti. But then he gets the ball back and actually from a tighter angle and a more difficult shot manages to slot it past the keeper. It's 2-2 and Ibrox has just gone tonto, hasn't it?
Yep, it certainly has. I think... I mean, Chermiti obviously. He gets the bounce of the ball the first time because of the defender. But see, in Chermiti's credit to him, he does immensely well to dig that ball at his feet and get into a position where he can actually have a shot at goal. I thought he showed a real bit of quality with that. Some quick feet, some tidy touches to be able to dig that out and make the opportunity for himself. And like you say, it was a really tight angle, and he's done exceptionally well to put it in. And I mean, the place went nuts at that point in time. I think right then we could have. I mean, if we managed to get a goal before half time, went in 3-2 up. I mean, the roof would have been blown off, but it wasn't to be. But I mean, that was just a taste of things to come for the man, the myth, the enigma that is Yusuf Chermiti.
He is an enigma, isn't he? Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely. Ryan, did you want to come in on the second goal that we conceded? Sorry, I think you wanted to come in there, didn't you?
The only thing I was going to say, I just felt Jack Button could have done a bit better with it. The crosses obviously came in. It's only going to go back across him. So for me, I think he's got to adjust his feet quicker and make a better effort to save it. I thought, you know, by his high standards, obviously, because we've got so much respect for him and we've seen some real quality saves, I think he'll be disappointed himself in that. But I just feel he could have probably done a little bit better on that. And it just adds something to the Chermiti goal as well, the first one. There, he's actually taken quite a sore tackle just a couple of seconds before he's actually, Hearts, there was a bad tackle. He's hobbling, Hearts went up the park, lost it, and it's come back to him. So he's actually, it makes that goal even that wee bit better, the fact he was toiling when it happened.
Yeah, no, definitely. There was a few challenges going in at that game yesterday. No, I definitely agree. So obviously Chikwani, we'll get to him shortly. Obviously with Chermiti, Richard, you notice the difference in Chermiti? Once he got that goal, he really does thrive on goals. His confidence just goes through the roof, and he was everywhere, wasn't he? He was tracking back, he was chomping into tackles, winning the ball and laying off some decent passes. It's amazing what a goal does for him, isn't it?
I mean, I think that every striker in the world, you hear the old cliche, confident strikers are different type of players, but I think he was still doing all right just before the goal. It probably wasn't what can I say, as flashy with it, but he was still putting a shift in, just getting that goal. The fact that the team were playing well just brought him up a couple of gears, and it was sort of one of those days where most things were paying off for him, really. His hold up play was good, his dribbling in the tight areas was good, he done well, but yeah, clearly he caught. Most players are confidence players, but strikers especially. So I'm hoping, there's going to be more to come, basically. Put long short of it, but yeah, it was great to see.
Yeah, no, it was good to see, definitely. There was a shot just before half-time because of Edis. Butland did save it well. It was one of the few kind of real chances they kind of had. Into the second half, obviously Hearts, as mentioned earlier, kind of had a bit of a back three. They kind of went man for man. I felt we weren't as fluid at the start of the second half. I think we were trying to work out a way through Hearts. They seemed a little bit more solid. Obviously, there was a yellow card for Leonard. He was quite high on Chukwari. It was one of those. He was looking at the ball. A penalty incident, 56 minutes in. Finlay headers the ball onto his own hands. Now, we all know in the rules, if it's come off another part of the body, it's not a penalty, and it really wasn't. It was not as if he's went to bat that out the park with it either. But then Scott Chermiti, he just loved scoring against Hearts, didn't he? That was his second of the match at this point, his sixth of the season. What a move and what a header. It was a great ball in, and he just absolutely bulleted that header in, didn't he, Scotty?
Yeah, it was a great goal. Really great move. Great ball in by Skov Olsen. And Chermiti he times his run to absolute perfection. It is a great goal. It's the fact that he's in the air, he's on the move when he actually makes connection with the ball. I thought it was just a brilliantly worked goal, and that's the goal. That's the kind of goal that you expect to see for an £8 million centre forward. That's for sure. But I mean, it was a great work goal. I was just delighted for him at that point in time, and hoping that Danny Rule wasn't going to pull him off like Nadiri was brought off before he could get his hat trick. But no, it was a great work goal. I thought that was the kind of start of Skov Olsen kind of really having a bit of an influence into the game. We hadn't really seen a great deal of him up until that point in time, but as we know ourselves with wingers, they're in and out of games. They're never really fully involved in things, but that the ball into Chermiti for that goal was sensational, and that's exactly why he is there, and that's exactly what we want to see for him on a regular basis, and Chermiti as well. I mean, it's his position to lose at the moment. Hopefully they persevere with two up top, and because Chermiti certainly looked like he enjoyed the foil from Nadiri yesterday, and hopefully that's something that we can continue to move on with.
I do agree. I think the two up top, I think, helps because you can see they've got slightly different qualities in as strikers, and I think that it becomes a handful for the defence. When it comes to man marking, you're kind of pulling people away, you're bringing more space in, then your kind of wingers can kind of come in, potentially more central and kind of get a bit of space as well. So I think it's good. It can create a little bit of organised chaos, is what Neil McCann used to say. So no, I do totally agree. And I have to say, with his header there, it's one of those that you almost feel like if he hadn't scored, he's probably not scoring that header. It's almost one of them, you just feel that confidence. The second he's confident, boom, he turns into an absolute superstar, and he absolutely hates Hearts, didn't he? That's 4 goals against Hearts this season out of what has he scored? 7 goals, hasn't he? So yeah, no, he definitely does. He only scores against the big teams. Big Yusuf Chermiti. There we go. There was a great challenge, Ryan. At this point of the game, we are starting to play much better now. Braga he'd been fairly quiet the game. Yes, he did score that goal. He's been quiet over the past few games, but he was coming into the box, and I think it was Nico Raskin came in kind of from behind, slid in, took the ball off him, and then went the other way. Because at that point, because Braga went down, I thought, oh no, he's gone in behind. That's a penalty. But it was such a clean challenge. It was just absolutely beautiful. And you're just seeing, right, you're starting to see everything from everyone now. You're starting to see us. Just with the confidence and just going forward, we were playing some sexy samba football. Olsen and Chermiti together, Skov Olsen, sorry, and it just looked. We were just playing so much better, weren't we? Just like the one-touch passing was just brilliant.
Yeah, there was one wee kind of quick passenger play, kind of just in front of the dugout, and it just put such a smile on my face. It was almost like watching Rangers of old, just such quick tappy tap, and then the spraying of the ball all the way out towards Romans. It was phenomenal, and it really brought the crowd up. Everyone loved what they were seeing. It was kind of Barcelona-esque, if you like. Just the quick 1-2 pass, and everyone knew what their roles were. So the training's working. The amount of time that the manager's getting with the players in the grass, the fixtures are favourable now. We're going to have week to week, so there's going to be plenty of time for them to start to get to know each other. Boys like Chawani, Skov Olsen, Nadiri, they're all going to start to now get to know their teammates' abilities and stuff. And it seems to go quite well. Go back to Raskin. As I say, I saw a few comments kicking about. He'd had a bad game. Nico Raskin did a job for us yesterday. Absolutely fantastic. Nico Raskin doesn't want to play as a 6. He will be wanting to play as an 8, getting further forward, places that he believes he can do damage. He's not going to be wanting to be the water carrier and go and having to collect the ball from centre half. That's not his game. but he done it for us yesterday. He done it well, and obviously the tackle that he did on Braga kind of basically summarised his entire game for us. He was fantastic. He was reliable. Apart from that one wee silly incident, but thankfully his teammates managed to get him out of jail.
I think that's the thing with Raskin. I think there was a couple of balls early on, a little couple of slack passes, and I think that just sets the tones for how everyone remembers kind of the game. And I think that with Raskin, he's definitely playing better than what he was. He's definitely come onto a bit of a game. You know, we always talk about he has a bit of a 6 months where he does play quite well at times, but he definitely didn't have a terrible game at all yesterday. I just think there were other people that kind of outshone him a little bit. I think I just took the gloss away a little bit because there was good performances from a lot of players yesterday, which is a good headache to have. We had Diamandi come on, Antman come on, Antman who looked kind of frozen out the team, Richard. In recent weeks before his injury, Finland's player of the year. I keep saying it about him like I say about Bajrami. There's definitely a player in there. We saw little bits of that when he came on, didn't we?
Definitely did, and I know quite a lot of people were hoping that he would start, to be honest. But I quite like Moore on the left. I know people see him more as being as a number 10, but him cutting in on the right, and I think I'm far from a coach or a manager, but I was kind of thinking that him doing that leaves the space for Romans on the left to cut the ball to. If the shot, if there wasn't something opening when he went in on the right. So I think that was the idea behind it, whereas Ant-Man would just go down the line, which we also need as well. But I'm not surprised. But I think Ant-Man's still got, a lot to prove to show that he's a starter. To be honest, I think people saying he should have started ahead of Moore, I think that would just be down to preferences in the last few games. Over the course of the season, I think Moore probably deserves it a little bit more. But yes, Ant-Man, there's definitely a player in there, and we all know how much of a big fan you are, to be fair. But I'm kind of looking for a little bit more from him, to be honest. He's shown it in glimpses, and it's kind of the same way Olsen at the minute. He's playing because we know he's got that ability, and we've spent quite a lot of money on him. Whereas Ant-Man, when he comes in, he needs to really, grab his opportunity, I feel, to make him one of the first choice names on the sheet, I think, at the minute.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and I think there's a bit of a change of the dynamic now with the new signings coming in, because we're seeing it now with Gassama. Obviously, we'll talk about that final goal and Gassama coming on. He might have found his new status as a super sub potentially, but Mikey Moore I thought was a little quieter in that kind of first half, came into his own a little bit more in the second half, was a little bit more direct. He did have a couple of chances that he did put over the bar, it was one of them. But good comment here, the 4-2-2-2 structure suits Moore on the left. I think he does just get that little bit more, he's definitely more suited there. No, definitely do agree. So let's get into it then. The last goal, Scott. So obviously James Tavernier was on the park by this point. It was just a great challenge. I think Matto is just trying to hold him off, and Tav just makes Matto bounce off him as he tries to let the ball go out of play, which was good to see from James Tavernier. And 90 plus 1 minutes, Chermiti on a hat-trick. What a move and what a goal. I think at this point you're thinking to yourself, we really are showing our title credentials here. It was a great... we took the ball from our own box. It went out to Gassama. He took it past about 3 people. You're saying to him, get the ball now, get the ball across now. He did wait. He then cut in behind, got the ball through to Chermiti. Chermiti's looking up, and he just absolutely buries it. A hat-trick for Yusuf Chermiti. Who would have put money on that yesterday, Scott? What a goal.
I certainly wouldn't have put money on that, that's for sure. I was actually more surprised that Gassama didn't shoot. I think that's the first time I've ever seen him in that position when he's not wound up and had a shot at goal. But I mean, he does exceptionally well. It's a great bit of skill, and it kind of sums up my feelings for Jerry Gassama that he's an impact player now. I think he sort of bringing somebody with that sort of electricity on against a weakened, tiring team can really cause an awful lot of issues. And when he picks that ball up and he head down and he's running, going past 2 or 3 players, I think he does exceptionally well. Looks up, sees Chermiti, gives me the fright of my life when he plays the ball to him, and it's a hat trick, and it's a great finish by a big man, and you can tell how much he loves it and how much a kind of a weight off his mind that seemed to be when the ball hit the back of the net. He's away fly kicking the corner flag and enjoying himself and really just sort of soaking up every moment of it. It was a brilliantly worked goal, and a great finish by the big man, and I'm absolutely delighted for him. I just really hope he can kick on now. I mean, we always hear that famous kind of Richard Gough quote where at Rangers you're only as good as your last pass. I mean, if Chermiti goes out and has a shocker against Livingston, we'll be quick to forget yesterday's game, that's for sure. But let's just hope that's not the case and he can really kick on, because the confidence is there. He's obviously got the belief in his teammates. He's got the belief in his manager, and if he continues like that, then we'll love him forever.
Yeah, we certainly will. And it's just mad when you look at it, Ryan. You look back 24 hours, not even 24 hours. You probably look back about 12, 13, 14 hours before that. And Chermiti, who had done absolutely nothing wrong, had been getting dog's abuse for posting an old picture of him and a lady friend on Valentine's Day 2025. And he was getting absolute dog's abuse for being out the night before a game. And it was quite funny afterwards, because I was saying, I'll pay for him to go out with his missus every night before any Rangers game. It seems to do the trick. But with Chermiti now, Ryan, obviously we've seen him score some big goals in some real big games. Is Chermiti that type of player now that really benefits in the games where teams are just that little bit open, and you can kind of get in behind just that little bit more? Are these the games that he'll thrive in, that will get the best out of him, do you think? Do you see him scoring much against the bottom end of the table?
I think so. I don't think he's the type of player that will handle the low block very well. I think he's the kind of player that will thrives in finding space. Obviously, you look at his header around at the Colton Road, you look at his finish there, he thrives in getting space and time. You've seen his miss against Motherwell during the week, that when he doesn't have the time, sometimes things don't go his way. But I do think he has a future, regardless of what Michael Stewart's got to say. We've all got our own opinion of Michael Stewart, and I don't think it's a popular one. But I couldn't believe his comment last night, where he said, basically, do you think the boys just scored a hat-trick against the team who's top of the league to put us right in the middle of a title win? And he's asked the question, do you think this boy's going to be a big player in the future? And just, no. The guy shouldn't be on TV giving professional opinions, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, but no, I think he just needs to keep playing, needs to keep scoring. I think he's probably somebody that we probably need to manage his minutes, and when things don't go well, we need to kind of look after him and take him out the limelight, because obviously when things aren't going well, his head goes down, and we can't let his head go down. We need to just take him off the park. And there's other guys there. We've got Nadiri, we've got Majowski sitting there ready to go as well. So I think it's just something we just need to be sensible in how we use him.
I do agree. Very wise words there, Ryan. And you know what? We'll talk about Michael Stewart's comments. So obviously it was Jonathan Sutherland asked him on Sports Scene last night, at 21 years of age, do you think he, meaning Chermiti, has the potential to be a top striker? And Stewart replied, just flat out, no. He scored a hat-trick today, which was good for Rangers and him, but it's terrible defending from Hearts. Good touch, good finish, commenting on his third, but his all-round game's just a little bit slack. His touch at times is unpredictable, but no, and I know it's hard to articulate that when he scored a hat-trick in a top-of-the-table clash, but I'm just giving you an honest answer. Richard, that's madness, isn't it?
Well, what qualifies him to, state whether somebody's got the attributes to be a top player? I mean, he's a failed trialist. All right, fair enough. He was at Man United, got a couple of games, went on loan, came back up to Scottish football. I don't see what qualifies him to be able to answer that question in any way. But he's a paid pundit to give his answer, so he did. Fair play. But it's very difficult to say. Obviously, he's going to have some attributes. He's got potential. I don't know how Michael Stewart could even try and suggest that, just flat out say no. He clearly does have attributes to be a very good player. Whether define what a top player is, I think he probably will be sold on for quite a bit of money to one of the big five leagues. He clearly has a lot of potential. Sporting Lisbon he wasn't in their youth academy for nothing. He's still not getting scouted for Portugal for no reason. there's a lot of things that we as the normal punters don't see with regards to the numbers, the attributes, and what they do within the game. His work rate has gone up tenfold from his first couple of games. There's a lot in there, and there's a lot still to come. And we need, and I've said it a few times on this podcast. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the bloke's still 21. Pretty much, I guarantee you, all four of us and most people watching this podcast, at 21-year-old, we were eating pot noodles. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this guy's
still
got the pressure. It's almost like we set that up. I mean, he's got the pressure of, heading up our attack in front of 50,000 people every other week. That takes a bit of adjustment. Over at Everton, he didn't have to score every week. When he missed a chance, it wasn't the end of the world. Up here it is, and he's had to adjust to that. And it's the same for Nadiri. He seems to be adjusting a little bit easier. But he's only 22. But you can't say for a minute that you don't think they've got potential. So Michael Stewart, I don't even think we should be commenting on it. So what we think, we watch him more than what he does, and I definitely think he's got potential to go far.
Well, that's it. We've seen Rangers fans can be overly critical, can't we, of players? We have seen poor players at Ibrox. We all remember, no disrespect, but players like Franny Jeffers. We all remember players like, even Philip Sebo, who only really lived off that kind of friendly goal against Chelsea, really, but didn't really contribute much. He became a bit of a cult hero just because of how he was. But we have definitely had worse strikers in the past. Now, football is data driven now, and a lot of the recruitment, the scouting, it's all data driven. That's what's been working well for Hearts this year. And Chermiti does meet a lot of the metrics, like really high up on lists. There's you see the odd tweets come out from accounts across Europe that say Chermiti has some of the highest stats for the potential. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe he'll dry up and I'll go on a barren spell, and then things might go the other way. But obviously Michael Stewart, failed trialist for Rangers, his dream club, but ended up Hearts, Hibs, and then of course a pundit on Celtic TV, which says a lot when you're a Rangers fan. But there you go, he knows where the money is. But let's have a look at these stats once again. And one thing I'm just going to say here, Scott, is you look at the big glaring thing here for the big chances. With the stats is the big chances section here. Rangers created 7 big chances. Hearts created none. Is that quite jaw-dropping, Scott, considering they bagged 2 goals?
Well, I guess it is. But I mean, the 2 goals that they got came out of, the first one essentially came out of absolutely nothing. I think the XG was 0.38 or something like that for Hearts. I mean, they had 2 attempts in goal and they put 2 of them away. That's it. I mean, you can't really argue with that. I mean, it says more about how we kind of nullified them in the middle of the park. I think the boy that they had, was it Agu, who got booked quite early on? He obviously had quite a pivotal part, sort of filling in that Cammy Devlin role, and he just was well off the pace. He didn't really look as if he had the opportunity to kind of influence any kind of game, which obviously kind of means that Claudio Braga's having to drop deeper to try and win the ball, and Chukwani and Raskin are getting more and more joy out of that. So it surprises you when you look at the score, but if you watch the game, probably not, to be honest with you. When it was a pretty dominant display. Weirdly enough, when we got to 2 each, it was a dominant display anyway, we'll say that, but I don't think it's that much a surprise, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that's the thing. I don't think Hearts played badly yesterday, and that was something that kind of Michael Stewart kind of alluded to with the way that they conceded some of the goals. I don't think Hearts were bad at all. They did well to get their goals. They're very good at scoring goals. They're very good at scoring late goals. They're at the top of the table for a reason. They are still currently the best side in Scotland, and they've beaten the other mob about 3 times this season. Beaten us twice. Yes, one of the games you could argue that there were some decisions, but they still beat us. And it was a win that was needed yesterday to show any sort of title credentials that we have in the title race. So now, that was obviously a very good win, 4-2. Hopefully we can build on from that. Of course, we have Livingston away at the Spaghetti Had, 3 o'clock on Sunday. And what do you reckon, Ryan? Are we getting a result there at the Spaghetti Had?
Got to. Like Scotty said, it's the Rock Cup finals now. I think we just need to make sure that we go out and put a right good professional performance in. We've got to not focus on the games that are coming up. There's obviously the Old Firm double header, which I'm sure a good few of the players will have marked in their calendar and they'll be excited, but we need to deal with what's in front of us here, and we need to make sure we put Livingston away. In an ideal world, you look at this fixture as this is a possibility we can actually go out and do a wee bit of damage in at the goal difference, because goal difference might be important come the last day of the season. But by all accounts, the most important thing is we go out there and we collect 3 points and we get down the road. Injury-free, suspension-free, all these things matter. But I think the word professional is what we've got to make sure we do. We go out there and we do our job properly and make sure we come home with the win.
Yep, well said, well said. Richard, I'll give you the last word here. Do you think there's anyone you'd rotate out for the Livingston game to freshen things up, or are you looking for that same team to be starting?
I would probably take Sterling out for Tav, to be honest, because we all know how injury-prone Sterling is. But I would keep it. Other than that, I would probably continue. I think most of them, pretty much all of them, I think deserves to retain the jersey. And I want to build up momentum in this team. We've shown that we've got players on the bench that can come in and make an impact, and we want to see more of that, of them coming on and staking a claim to have the shirt from the start of the game for the next game. So I wouldn't rotate it too much. Build momentum and go from there.
Build momentum and go from there. No, I do agree. We've got to go with our strongest teams now, I think, going forward. So there we go, guys. That is it for the Rangers Journal tonight. The Rangers Journal will be back throughout the week as we build up to the Livingston game. And of course, then after the Livy game, we'll be looking ahead to the Old Firm double header. I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Scott, thank you ever so much for gracing us. And Roman says he does want his shirt back.
Oh, well, that's good because he's not getting it back. Well, thank you very much for having me. Much appreciated. I'm back again tomorrow as well to talk about the run-in coming up. So I'm going to have a lie down because 2 podcasts in 1 week is just too much for my heart to take. So I'll need to be rested for tomorrow.
Brilliant. Oh, good to have you on. Good to hear you. Oh, I can't even say it. Good to hear from you as always. I've got to stop drinking the Guinnesses now. No, good to have you on, Scott. And Ryan, thank you. And hopefully your ears, hopefully you don't have too much tinnitus from the game yesterday because it was absolutely rocking. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Listen, thanks for all the fellow Rangers fans in the stadium. I was really humbled. I was sitting there just looking around and not seeing any empty seats in the stadium, and even right up until the last minute, I think that the absolute vast majority of people did stay to the end there. So I can't explain how happy that makes me, and it's going to be good for the Americans as well, because it's going to show them that these are the results that happen. If you put good players in the park and put good results in the park, the stadium will fill. So the business model, hopefully for them, is looking attractive as well.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It was absolutely brilliant to see the stadium still full into that 90th minute, and you get to witness that Chermiti hat trick as a reward for that. And Richard, I'm just going to ask you something before we say goodbye. Are Hearts finishing in the top 2 this season?
I hope they do. I really hope they do. I know I've got a Hearts fan in the comments. Keep going on. So I definitely want Hearts to finish second. Let's put it that way. But thanks for having me on, mate, and shout out to you. Great hosting as always, mate.
Thank you, Richard. Always good to have you on, mate. Always good to see you. And of course, don't forget our sponsors, Bluebells, Puerto del Carmen, Lanzarote. Do head there and do head to the Rangers Journal's Etsy store, where you can get loads of cool Rangers Journal merchandise. That's the word. Every night's a Rangers Journal night. And here's to hopefully another victory at the weekend. Take care, everyone. See you later.